Uh, in case you are viewing this broadcast, let me know where you are, watching this broadcast from. Today we are going to be talking about land grabbing in Lagos. Should real estate investors be worried? And I have also, made it a point of duty to dedicate uh, good time like this, okay, and explain a whole lot of things to real estate investors, more importantly those who are not in the country. So we're going to be talking about land grabbing today. So let me know where you are joining this live broadcast from. So I'm going to start by the time I have people join this call, so please be patient with us. It's a live session. I have dozens of questions today because I actually passed, did a notification informing people that we're going to be having this live broadcast by 4 o'clock, and this is 4:01, and we are right on time. This is actually commendable from our side. So please let me know where you're joining this broadcast from. Thank you very much. This is King's Cost Property. This is Property Matters. This is where we talk about every important issues concerning real estate investment in Lagos, Nigeria. So once again, let me know where you are joining us from, so that we can have another insightful conversation today. Of course, we are still in the euphoria of the Salah holiday. So thank you everybody. I want to say Barika the Salah to everybody, to my Muslim brothers and sisters, our real estate investors across the world. So let's talk about land grabbing in Lagos, Nigeria. So today's is also going to be brief because I know a lot of people actually have to squeeze out time to be part of this broadcast, and I totally understand, and I appreciate everybody that have been able to join us today. I appreciate this. Thank you very much for your time, and of course I'll be responding to some of the questions today. In case you are joining this live broadcast, this is King's Court live session. We just don't post recorded video. We also do live sessions where we can connect with you, our real estate investors. If you have questions bothering you, of course you can easily share it directly with us, and you'll be glad that you're talking with us. So thank you very much for joining. So without wasting further time, and please, in case you are joining this live session, please just give us a like, and of course share this live session with some of your your friends and family. All right, so why do we have, or what is land grabbing? The first thing I want you to understand basically is that the business of land is a very serious business. You will agree with me that people's fortune have changed over time simply because they own, real estate in some strategic locations. And one basic thing that I have also come to realize basically is that when you are buying real estate, of course, I'll be going live also on Facebook very quickly. I just want to quickly post the notification on my WhatsApp status. Hold on, please. Let me just quickly share this post notification so that people also on WhatsApp can be part of this, because today's topic is a very, very important one. All right. Okay, so I'm going to have this one here, and our Facebook community can join us. Okay, so I'll be live both on Facebook and on WhatsApp. Okay, so hold on please. All right, we are going live on Facebook right about now. All right. Okay. All right. What's this? Hold on, please. All right. So, okay, I'm also live on Facebook. Thank you. So, like I said, a lot of people fortune have changed because they own real estate in strategic location, and the reason why land grabbing issue is a serious basically is due to the fact that record and history have shown that Lagos is a place of interest. So I'm going to start by explaining this. And why is Lagos State a place of interest? Lagos basically right now is the heart of real estate for everybody that is that are interested in making good return on investment. But one of the major challenges that we have in Lagos is land grabbing, and it has now become an endemic situation to the point that people are becoming a little bit skeptical about investing. In fact, I've spoken with so many real estate investors, and one of their reactions basically is that I don't think I'm ready, okay, for all this land grabbing and other related issues. So, what exactly is the issue, or what exactly is land grab? So, I'm going to start this video by giving a simple analogy, something I experienced 2 years ago. So, there was this diasporan real estate investor who wanted to buy property in Ishere North, okay, of Lagos. So, and for people that have been following us, they will attest to the fact that whenever we are sharing important information like this, we always try as much as we can to give valuable information. And the purpose of this is to ensure basically that you are not making costly real estate. So to cut the long story short, I joined the company and of the inspection team, and we drove down to the location of this site. And when we got there, at the entrance to where this property is, I observed some things that I consider to be very, very unusual. One of the things I noticed basically was that I noticed the presence of armed security personnel at the entrance of this estate. So from there, of course, experience will tell you that something definitely was not right. Of course, they can give instances that they had to mount security so that they would not steal some of the materials on site that is used for construction. Basically, I've had, several situations like that, but I saw armed security guards. And as we drove in towards the direction of where this property was actually located, we noticed some Onile. Okay, Onile in Yoruba or in English translation means people who are probably the ancestral owners of that property. Now, when we got there, as we drove in from the entrance down to where this property is, Onile was this. And one thing I discovered basically was that many of these guys were so confident to stay on that property, despite the fact that there were armed policemen on site. And from the onset, okay, as we drove in from where that property was, and when we got to that exam location, I just concluded that this is this is going to be a problematic investment, and I just knew. So in scenario like this, when we have situations like this, you need to understand that as far as Lagos is concerned, land is a serious business. People have killed themselves. People have been jailed. People have they've engaged themselves in endless war because of land. And there's no way we will talk about real estate investment, not just only in Lagos, but in other part of other part of the country like Ibadan and the likes, and we will not but explain the problem of land grabbing. Land grabbing basically is a serious problem that every real estate investor needs to understand. Today, a lot of real estate companies are being called out simply because they've sold properties in 2018, 2019, 2020, and there are no signs of doing a physical allocation. And of course, Mr. Scott Guma, the real estate VDM, just like some of our investors or some of our audience have rightly called him, has called out several companies, and I can categorically tell you that one of the reasons, okay, while many companies today cannot allocate the properties they have sold to real estate investors, is because of land grabbing. In as much as fact that it is not something that is commendable, but we cannot but rule out the fact that land grabbing is a serious problem as far as real estate in Lagos is concerned. It is. So it is very possible for you to buy a property in a location, okay, and by the time you are to be allocated, you'll be allocated in a different location. And what exactly could be the reason for this is due to the fact that land grabbing is a very, very important thing that most people have ignored. Rema, please get me Tom Tom. So you just can't talk about real estate without talking about the problem of land grabbing. It exists. I have gone for a physical allocation. This is one, or there's no way I talk about land grabbing in Lagos and I cannot but, okay, relate some of this experience of what happened to me. Now, on that day, okay, we have bought, I also bought into that property, and some of my real estate investors bought. That was a very long time ago, around 2018, 2019. And we drove to sites with this joy, with this anticipation that we're going to get our property. And the allocation started as planned. And during the allocation, it became something like a tug of war. Right on site, some set of individuals started running with weapon. And they were running towards our direction where we were. Now, in the process of trying to unravel what could be going on or what could be the problem, another group ambushed us on site and we could not run. It was an unfortunate situation because on that particular day, it rained heavily. And we were forced to sit down on the rainwater mud. So some of the clothes we wore on that day became dirty with mud, stained with mud and every other thing. And it's an experience that I don't ever want to recall. And to everybody that witnessed that kind of situation, I can tell you basically that we were humiliated. In the process of trying to find out what was going on, one of the boys that attacked us on site was bringing a machete, and the machete was aimed towards my forehead. I would say, fortunate enough to have used this hand. I don't know if you can see it. The sky is still there. The machete landed on the hand where I was trying to protect my forehead. And how we got to survive that kind of scenario today, I would describe it as a miracle, because these are situations that we just can't but talk about it. Luckily, I was able to escape. I had to hide in one of the buyer's house, and this is one of the problem, and this is one of the advantage of becoming nice to people. Now, there are scenarios whereby when we have similar land grabbing situations or attack when we're on site, okay, a lot of people have been saying this. I've experienced it. I'm not talking about what somebody told me. I witnessed it. There are instances whereby when we want to check a property that somebody bought, we have to go with mobile policemen, because you just can't but look at what is happening as far as land grabbing is concerned. So why do we have increasing cases of land grabbing? Why does it seem as if like this situation has now become suddenly endless? Why are these situations now discouraging people from investing in Lagos and other parts of the state? Now, I was surprised. Okay, there was this particular group that attacked one of our projects in Abidjan GRA. I didn't sell the project to the investor, but somehow, the woman got talking to me. I got myself involved, okay, because I knew the traditional rulers of that particular location. So I spoke, and the traditional, of course, we paid. we were able to, of course, it's a Yoruba community, so we were able to relate, make some peace. We spoke with the traditional ruler, and the man gave us access. In fact, he even gave us some indigenous people to supervise who were there. And surprisingly, this particular land grabber, according to what we were told, is a member of the family, and he felt cheated, okay, and he decided to take the laws upon himself. Now, I found out that the traditional rulers also feared this particular person, and there are some scenarios whereby once the traditional ruler is telling you that at this point, you just have to settle. So I said, okay, fine. I picked up his information and I drove to the nearest police station to report the situation in anticipation that the police will definitely arrest him and he will stop disturbing us. But to my greatest surprise, I found out that land grabbing has been institutionalized. So there are some people that if they're having issues with you and you think if you go to the police station to go and report, okay, the police will tell you, this particular person, this particular family, we know them, we have their case file here, this and that. All you need to do is to do what? Is to settle them. And refusal to settle with them, they will frustrate you as an investor. There've been several instances whereby we will offload bags of cement, tons of iron rod and other building materials on site, and the next day you find out that most of the things you have offloaded as would I say has been stolen. You can offload 10 bags of cement and you can wake up to see maybe 2 or 3 or sometimes none. So it's that bad. And we need to talk about it. We need to talk about it, because if we don't, a lot of people will not understand what real estate development companies are going through. More importantly, in the hands of notorious land grabbers. So like I said, to an extent, land grabbing has been institutionalized. So there are some land grabbers that you will report to some government institutions and they will tell you, we know these people, go and settle with them. So these are some of the things we need to know. So if you have a real estate developer that has not allocated to you, or you have somebody that is probably not talking, okay, about some of the properties they've sold, there might be every possibilities that is having serious issues with land grabbers. So we need to talk about this. We need to talk about this. So there are companies today who have run into debts of over hundreds of millions. So a lot of people have said, in as much as fact that they have allocated, if you start listing some places that have been allocated and you don't dare go there. There are some places whereby some companies have sold, they've allocated to real estate investors, that some land grabbers have gone there, they have reacquired the land, and they have resold to the highest bidder. So we need to talk about this. Now, when you are now dealing with the issue of land grabbing in Lagos, you need to quickly understand that there are some places that you will choose to invest, and that places is a risk zone. Risk zone in the sense that, let me put it this way, there are some places, okay, that is prone
to land grabbing activities. In fact, you just can't buy properties there and don't expect drama. You just can't. And when I talk about this, now when I talk about land grabbing, is in levels. So there are some land grabbing case that you can't settle at the police station. That's just a fact. So land grabbing is in levels, is of sizes. There are some certain set of people that will invade your property, and you can call the traditional ruler. The traditional ruler have an extensive conversation with them, and the case is settled. There are some land grabbers that may also have, attack your property, and you just can't settle their case in Lagos. There have been cases of you have to travel to where they are, and in the process of settlement, you will be mandated to repurchase your property. So I want to be as plain, as simple as possible. In my last video, I was talking about how to avoid fraudulent property purchase in Ibejuleki. I mentioned that, and I gave 3 reasons. If you did not see that, Rema, power bank, please. If you did not see that video, of course it's on my channel. I think it's the video before the one you see it there. So when it comes to, just bring it with the code. When it comes to buying properties in Lagos, you have to examine the possibilities of having issues. I used to watch some of our colleagues who will say, the land is free from Onile wahala. I can categorically tell you that majority of these guys don't know what they are saying. No land in Lagos is free from Onile wahala. If you have bought a property and Onile is not disturbing you, it may be due to the fact that the real estate developer you bought from assaulted them. So I'm still going to come to how some real estate companies have intelligently, managed issues of land grabbers. And like I said, it's of different levels. There are some people that if they grab your land, you can settle it at the local level. That means you just speak with the traditional ruler, they call both warring parties, a settlement is reached, and of course you can resume sites. There are some land grabbers, some other categories of land grabbers that if they take your land, just know that you will be the one to go and meet them. It's funny, but that's just the truth. You will be the one to go and meet them, and in a place whereby and you have to pray that they don't resell your property before you meet them. So at that point, you will purchase that property from them. So the first thing I want to talk about is, what are the reasons why land grabbers attack properties? What are the reasons? So today's video is going to be section on why do we have land grabbers invade properties? What must you do to avoid them invading your property? And why should you put in some safety precautions? So these are the 3 important segments. I think I spent. So let's talk about why land grabbers attack or take over property forcefully. The first thing basically is that some real estate development company don't follow the entire process of due diligence before they buy lands from family. I'm going to say it again. One of the major reasons why land grabbing situation has become a menace or has become a major concern basically is that some real estate development companies don't follow the entire process of due diligence. And I'm going to explain. The first thing you must understand is that all these estates that is being marketed to you, all these properties that is being, you see on videos, on your YouTube, on everything, were never owned by the real estate company. So what most of them do is that they purchase these properties from families, they rebrand it, they do everything they need to do, okay, and before they start selling. So what happens basically is that you must understand that lands are communally owned. Lands are communal. So I've not seen instances whereby an individual will say, this is my land, come and sell. That is if you're buying a virgin land. Like if you're going to villages like okay, a lot of people are going to Ibadan now, which is not a bad idea. People are going to Abeokuta. So if you are dealing with Lagos, you must understand that lands. So you can have like 5 or 6 families having right to some acres of land. I'm explaining, please pay attention. So what happens basically is that when a real estate company or a private individual indicates interest in that property, this is actually a real life situations. There are tendencies that the people that may negotiate the process of sale, the condition for payment, is due to the fact, okay, that there are some levels of possibility that, let's say in a situation whereby it is 5 families that have access or that have legal ownership to a property, there are tendencies that you can have a negotiation with just maybe 3 out of the 5. Now, in a situation whereby 5 families have access to a property and you are only negotiating with 3, you don't need a soothsayer to tell you that there will be problem, because by the time you start development in that land, I can assure you that if those families are not within that vicinity, someone who must have seen the construction that is going on that site will notify other members of the family. And the reason why we have most of these cases is due to the greed. Now, there are some members of the family who may definitely not want to share the proceeds of that sales, and they feel they have, I've had several instances whereby someone will say, I'm the chief, I am the molebi of the family, I'm the chief of the family. Is whatsoever I say, okay, that is final. So it will be very ridiculous from your own part to follow what the man is saying, because in some cases, when they start affirming their status or who they are in the family, it's always a case of they don't want to settle under members of the family. So you definitely want to look at Rema. You definitely want to look at what could be the consequence of this, Rema. So you want to look at that. So when they say, I am the mortgagee of the family, I'm the this of the family, please, dear real estate investors, wherever you're watching this video, insist, bring me that black card, insist that every family that have rights, ownership rights to that property are adequately compensated, are adequately seated. Let them be part of the what? Of the negotiation. That's point number 1. Because you see, this our Lagos, I've seen some things in this our Lagos that some problems, okay, are easily avoidable. But because of the fact that you just can't rule out greed, one person want to have what belongs to 5 people. It is what? It is very important you insist that every member that have legal ownership are adequately represented. And when purchase is made, you must also insist that everybody signs the deed of assignment. So if it is 5 people that have right to that property, all 5 must sign. And you must put a clause. Your lawyer must also insert a clause. That is if you are dealing with family. Okay, I've seen, some couple of investors have said, no, that what some real estate companies are charging is too outrageous, it's too expensive. They want to approach the family by themselves. Well, it's not always advisable, but If that is your choice, I'll say, well, it is well, you can go ahead and have. So it is very important that, so why we have a lot of land grabbing issues is that some families are not totally represented and majority of them are not aware. And that is why you notice that when you are erecting a fence, some people will come, whether you are there physically or after you have left the site, they will break the fence, they will remove a lot of things. It's a clear case of what they were not carried along, and in some cases with evidence they were never paid. So it is possible that one person from the family will eat what belongs to five. So basically, these are some of the circumstances that we have seen. So ensure that every member of the family is represented before you pay them a dime. So one of the reasons why we have land grabbing is in the case of what? Greed. So that's why I said, if a real estate development company basically is constantly having issues, 1 estate, 2 estate, 3 estate, 4 estate, 5 estate, 6 estates, then you really need to query the expertise and the competence of that real estate development company. That's point number 1. Point number 2, another reason why land grabbing is endless is that some companies are always trying to outsmart ancestral owners. So when you think you are smart, like let's say for instance, a real estate company can buy a property from, let's say a real estate company can buy property, okay, and let's say the cost of purchase of that property is like, let's say 20 million. Now I've seen instances whereby some families, okay, allow property buyers to structure a payment plan. Do you understand? So they can say, okay, fine, this 20 million, you will pay it in 1 year. This 20 million, you will pay in 6 months. This 20 million, you pay in 3 months. So it's the pattern and the model of payment is solely dependent on the agreement you have with the family. So what happens basically is that after entering an agreement with the family, so the individual or the company can have an agreement with the company or with the family that, okay, fine, we are going to pay this money in this so time, and the company will sell out the land, like fully sold out. Instead of them paying family that they bought property from, they will go and use that land to buy another estate. So in fact, 60% of the land grabbing activities or the land grabbing issues that we have in Ekpe, Ibetuleke, another part of Nigeria, is due to the greed of the company selling. Some people don't pay family off after they have access to the land. So in some cases, when you are doing allocation and some set of people come to attack you or they come to collect the property, the first question you want to ask is that, Oga developer, are you sure you have paid? They will say, hey, I've paid. Okay, fine. Show me. Because you see, if you have paid the family, there is a document that will be issued to show that, okay, full payment has been made. But in some cases, the reverse the reverse has already been said. So some real estate development companies will sell and they don't honor the payment time. So in that situation, you don't even need to ask, will they? The question is, how soon will they? So companies try to outsmart developers because of the fact that many of them are viewed as illiterate. I've seen instances whereby they've sold out the estates and they don't pay the landowner. So that obviously is also another case of what? Land grabbing issues. Now, the third case or the third reasons why we have land grabbing problem in Lagos is in a case of what? Greed. Now, I have seen greed from the seller. Now, what I'm trying to say in essence basically is that there are some set of Nigerians who have bought properties as far back as 1994, some in 1990, some in 1992, in some places in the Bejuleki, and they might be probably working on doing their own title by themselves, and they don't do any meaningful construction to indicate, okay, that that property has been owned by, is owned by them. So there are some places they will show you distress sale, this one, this is somebody's land. And in some cases, okay, the person that wants to sell may not notify the buyer. So I've seen I've seen instances of one property being sold to 7 people. And this is why sometimes when it is real estate, when it is on location, just trust me, they are no go area. Okay, so you want to look at this. So when people want to resell, the thing is that Onile have this general belief, they have this mindset that after they've sold property to you, if they don't see you maybe 2 or 3 or 4 years, they will assume that the person they've sold property to is dead. That's their general assertion. So they don't see you 1, 2, 3 years. Trust me, they are, is either they've sold or they are planning, okay, to resell that property to another person. So you definitely want to look at that possibility. So that is also another reason. So when one property is sold to multiple parties, we have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 people laying, ownership, fighting, having ownership tussles over land, then you just need to tell yourself, I don't want this. So that is also another reason why we have land grab. So there are numerous reasons. But that one, the ones I've mentioned, are the most prominent and the most common. Now, what must you now do to avoid land grabbing scenario? You are based in diaspora, because you see, despite the fact that land grabbing is a problem, not only it's not just synonymous in Lagos. There are people that have bought properties in Ibadan and they can't access the land. So to now come to the conclusion that it's a problem only, it's everywhere. It's everywhere. It's a situation whereby it's like I told you, there are some land grabbers that they have been institutionalized. If you take their case, okay, or you report to police station or you do this, it is like a department. So what must you now do to avoid land grabbing? Because you see, or to minimize, you can't avoid it. Because if you want to do foundation, they will come. If they say, okay, give us money for foundation, that one is even better, at least as long as you have access. But if you want to totally minimize the risk of having land grabbers, then the developer you are buying from must be a known brand. The developer you are buying from must be somebody that they know they can't just mess up with. And this boils us to the point, I've had a lot of people buy property because they consider it to be cheap. There are some places I've inspected properties, even I myself, because I buy too, and the moment I see the location and I see traces that there are possibilities of land grabbing problem in this axis, instead of going directly to buy from family, I'll just buy from a developer. Transfer that risk. If there's issue, if you don't sort it out, you repay or you give us a land in another place. So prioritize the brand. Don't buy. See, Lagos is not a place where you buy because it is cheap. No, it's not. Good evening, ma'am. Thank you, sir. I appreciate this. Lagos, see, a lot of people are selling land in different parts of Lagos. Some are even going to the coastal road, which is a good investment. A lot of people are going to other parts. See, as far as Lagos is, if you say because the difference between that property and that property is because this particular developer is selling for this price, this one is selling for this price, you consider this one to be very, very cheaper.
Okay, even if the difference is 10 million, don't
buy because it is cheap. There are some real estate companies today that they are having sleepless nights, because larger percent of the properties they've sold is having issues. There are some that they will sell the land finish, so they won't pay families. So I just don't want to. So if it is Lagos, if it's a place of higher interest, deal only. See, it is better for you to have a 300 square meter with a developer that have mind, political will, economic backing, that have, let me use it as Nigerian, to buy from developer that has mouth, that have levels. There are some developers that land grabbers don't dare mess with them. Am I saying they are immune to land grabbing? No. When it comes to dealing with land grabbing situation, it's a skill. Conflict management, as far as real estate is concerned, is a skill. Not all real estate development company has it. I know some certain real estate companies that they will have land grabbing issues. I will go to sleep because I know that even real estate investors will never be affected. They will find a way to sort it out and they will keep possession of their property, and everybody, whoever must have bought for them, will have access. Not all companies can do this. That is why a lot of people have said, I have property in Ibejuleki, I have property in Ibejuleki, I have property in Ibejuleki, come help us and, market in Ibejuleki, come help us and sell Ibejuleki. I look at you, I look at the place and say, no, you are not ready. No, I'm not trying to downplay every new real estate development company who may be committed to creating valuable services, but there are some places as a first-time real estate developer that you must not go to. Not just because of the fact that I'm trying to discourage you, because there are some problems that you will see by yourself, you will run. I've seen instances of people going to court for 6, 7, 8 years over some parcels of land with land grabber, and today they are still in court. So when it comes to buying land in some specific locations, the brand is very important. Very, very important. So one of these, in what I'm trying to say basically is that levels pass levels. Let me use that assertion. Levels pass levels. And that's why sometimes when it comes to making property recommendation, the moment I'm having a conversation with you and I notice that you want to probably, I'm not saying you should buy what you cannot afford. I'm not, because I've been misquoted in several instances. I'm not saying you should not buy what you can afford, but there are some locations that you just can't compromise developers. You can't. There was a known real estate developer along the Lekki-Epe Expressway that bought a property, and this man has sent mails to real estate investors that is going to do allocates at this particular time, and some land grabbers called him that if they see anybody on that land, that they will go. I love the response this particular developer gave them. He said, I've paid you. I've paid your Oloriebi, the way they call them. If you are a chief, they call you Oloriebi. He said, I've paid every member of the community. I even did a borehole for the entire community. And the person who has the after ownership got a car from me. He said, if they burn any of you well. And what this guy did basically was that for 6 months, this particular real estate development company positioned armed mobile police on the sites. And they gave them an order. Any Onile or land grabbers that tried to invade this location, shoot at sites. The order was shoot at sites. Anybody, till today, people who owns property in that region today, today don't have problem. Why? Because that developer that sold to real estate investor have money to deal with any encroacher. Meanwhile, some companies cannot afford to do that, and the reason for that is based on the fact that when it comes to property development in Lagos, Nigeria, is in level. So I usually pity investors who buy because of price, because when companies factor price into what they are selling, they would have factored a lot of things into pricing. Because I'm going to be doing a video where I'm going to be talking about why some prices varies. I'm going to be doing a series very soon, and I'll be explaining why some companies put some prices on some locations and some are doing that. Because you see, with my years of experience in this industry, I've witnessed several scenarios, and I've personally said, no, this is a justification for the pricing you are setting. So you must buy. You must buy from. See, if you have bought from a reputable company, you don't need to worry about land grabbing, blah blah blah. You don't. That one, there's no problem. If you have bought from a reputable company, and there are several of them, but I don't want to mention so that I don't look as if I'm doing a paid advert. This is a live session where I'm talking about land grabbing. Now, if you have bought from private individuals, how can you now reduce your chances of losing your properties to land grabbers? The first basic thing you need to do is to take physical possession of your land. You have to take physical possession. So how can you take physical possession? Start fencing. See, now I said it at the commencement of this video. I said, see, if you have bought land property from Onile, 1 year after purchase, they did not see you. 2 years after purchase, 3 years, they will assume that for this person not to come all this while, the person might probably be dead. And the moment they notice there is no physical activities on your land, they resell. So it happens in Lagos. They resell, they do a lot of stuff, blah blah blah, and before you know it, it's gone. 100% gone. Then you start hiring lawyer, going to police station, going to zone 2, blah blah blah, start take possession. Number 2, if you are not ready to take possession, have some people take possession. And like, for instance, you can give your land, you can lease it. Let me use the word give, because you can lease it to people like maybe roadside mechanic, or you can lease it to people who might be doing something temporary, or you can even start farming on your land. This basically informs Onile that I have not forgotten, okay, that I bought land from you people. That's just it. Then another thing you should also do is do your documentation. See, the reason why a lot of people today have lost their land, more importantly, if you are buying from private individuals, because I've had some couple of real estate investors reach out to me saying that development fees is this, development fees is that. No, if I buy from families, they don't charge me this, blah blah blah. Okay, fine. So they will say, I want to buy directly from family. So what I do basically is I exempt myself. I say, okay, fine. I want to buy from family. I know an agent, but this one I'm not. Anything that comes out of it, nobody should come and tell me this and this and this, because you see, sometimes the development fee you pay basically is like, oh, the other charges that some of these real estate companies will ask you to pay, okay, are like a lifetime security fee over your properties. Because you see, for a company that carefully pays attention to documentation, it doesn't matter where the land grabber is from. The moment there is a document on that property and Lagos State government, it doesn't matter who they've sold to. It doesn't. And that is why it is very important that if you are buying, if your property is on title, you don't wait. There was a particular time that if you have 1.5 million, you do a governor's consent on your property.
in Lagos. If you have 2 million, you will do C of O. You don't even need to leave your house.
But right now, the situation has changed. And one thing about Lagos State is that the longer you wait, the more expensive it continues to become. That's just that's just one basic thing that I have personally discovered from the Lagos State real estate. The longer, the more you pay. So basically, it is very important that you pay adequate attention to documentation. See, if you have your document with you, it doesn't matter who they've sold to. If you have to go to courts, and let me also say this, payment receipt alone is not always a sufficient evidence to tender in court. A lot of real estate investors make these mistakes. And there was a court hearing I witnessed. Okay, I went with a friend who sued a developer, and this guy was on the verge of winning the case. But the reason why they lost the case was that the only evidence this person could show that he bought that property was the receipt. So receipt alone is a proof that you bought property, but it is not a weighty evidence. So that is why if you have bought properties, collect your documents, collect your contract of sale, collect your deed of assignment. So if there's a reason for you to sue the developer and the court or the court demands that, okay, what are the documents to show that you have bought property? When you tender that one, it's very, very obvious. And that's why sometimes a lot of real estate developer praise that you don't pay your other fee so that you can collect your documents. And that's why sometimes it's not always good. See, if you cannot afford, okay, to pay your documentation fee after 6 months of purchase, please leave that property. Because it does not make any actual sense for you to spend millions and you miss out on getting your documents. It doesn't. So I have advised several times that if documentation becomes an issue, then real estate investor, please leave that property. So if you cannot afford to pay your documents within 6 to 1 year of purchase, then that property is not for you. So number 2, do your documentation and have it. So it doesn't see if you have your documents with you to show that the property belongs to you, it doesn't matter who they've sold to. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. So that's one of the things that you need to do. So these are some of the things you can do to reduce the possibility of losing your property to land grabbers. Now, one thing I've done in 2022, my brother in the US, we bought a land, and that was this particular scenario was what brought me to the conclusion that if I'm Onile, like family or whatsoever they call themselves, let them sell land for 200 per plot. I will never, ever have any dealing with them. And the reason why I made the decision was in 2022, we bought 1 acre. Then they sold for 350,000. So we bought 1 acre from a family in Ekpe. And we found out that they were nice at the process of at the stage of conversation. We started talking. They were nice. They offered us drinks. Conclusively, you would have thought these guys are very nice. They are God-fearing. We pay money like this. Lo and behold, they allocated also. So they said we can start work on site. So I was happy. I spoke with my brother. I said, Egbon, like we say it in Yoruba, brother is Egbon. This is your land, blah, blah, blah. The following day, some set of people came, armed with police. They beat all the workers that were on site. The abokis and some of the people that were working, because it was a farm. We wanted to start piggery and then poultry on 1 acre. So I got a call from the office that Mr. Adejare, blah 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 blah, they are dealing with your. So I quickly left what I was doing. So I drove. When we got to Ekpe, we didn't meet the people that attacked our workers on site. So I went to the family head that sold the property to us, and I said, these and these and these of what I heard. And I asked him, what exactly is going on? He said we should not worry, that we should give him 1 week, that he was going to sort it out. Now, from that instance, I knew there was problem. So after calling, they called us again, that actually when they were selling the land to us, there were other members of the family. You know, that was one of the reasons why I made the first point, that before you pay a dime, if it is 5 families that have legal right to that, make sure all the 5 are seated in the places of. So they said we should pay. I told them no dime, no dime will drop from us. I told him I was I was so blunt, and he saw that my eyes have changed. If not for the fact that I was an elderly person, I would have even ordered the arresting. So to cut the long story short, after I bluntly refused that we're not giving them a dime, they said they would get back to us. 1 week later, we didn't hear anything. So I decided to pay a surprise visit, only for me to find out that where they sold to us was already fenced by another set of people. So that place has been sold to somebody else. That was why I knew basically that the case was not getting funny. And I went to the police station. They arrested the chief head. They arrested every other person that that sold the property to us. 20 minutes after the arrest, the family started calling us. You shouldn't have gone this far. Don't you know this man is an elderly person? What if he died in prison? Blah, 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 blah. The money I spent in police case to do this sort of things was almost equivalent to buying directly from a real estate developer. I'm telling you, see, I actually don't know how to lie to people, but I just think I should just say things the way they are. So after we paid police, blah, 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 they now called us again that we should settle. I said, no settlement. If you want these people to leave the police cell, you must either reclaim that land, which I know it was impossible, or they give us another place. Do you know that after I made this arrest, within 2 days, they got us another place? But the stress, the amount of money spent was ×3 of what it would have cost us if we have just gone directly to buy from a reputable real estate developer in that place. So, to cut the long story short, where we were given, we're like 10 minutes away from where we were before, but we're able to resolve it. Then what I just told my brother was, let's take possession. So we started, I was there till they started the fencing, they did the roofing, until poultry started. It was when they saw that we have taken possession that they stopped disturbing us. So this is one of the reasons why I personally made up my mind that anything that has to do with the individual or family, I will never try it again. I won't. Because what we spent was more. So these are some of the things. So in as much as fact that you are dealing with reputable real estate developers, there are numerous there, you won't have issues whatsoever with land grabbers. But the moment you have decided to compromise because of price, and in fact there are a lot of people that their properties have been reclaimed by land grabbers, and because of the fear that the company is having, they won't tell you. They won't. So these are some of the things. So we really need to explain and expatiate more on this for you to understand that land grabbing basically is a serious institutionalized activities in Lagos and other parts of the state. So these are some of the things you need to do to avoid this. But above all, only proven, experienced developers, people who have experience in managing situations like this. Now, when I say experience, it doesn't matter whether they started maybe last year or 2 years old. When I talk about experience, experience is seen in some of the properties they've sold, when they are constantly giving you development update of people working there. That's when you can come to the conclusion that these people don't have land grabbing problems on their property. Because you see, quality brand knows that they hold you information on how your property. There are a lot of updates. There are weeks that I go out just to get development updates from my real estate investors. So these are some of the things that you need to do to avoid land grabbing situations. So I'm just have some couple of questions here. I'm going to attend to them because I intend to end this broadcast in the next 15 minutes. So on Thursday, by the special grace of God, I'll be having another live session where I'll be talking about short-let management, what you need to understand about short-let management. So because I have most of the questions I have here are short-let related questions, and from these questions I can categorically tell you that a lot of diasporan investors have been lied to when it comes to short-let. So I will be explaining few of the ones that I can take now, but by the special grace of God, on Thursday I'll be talking about what you need to know about short-let management, locations that can guarantee constant bookings on your property. And I'm talking about a lot. I'll be talking about some of the experiences I've had. And of course, I also mentioned some verified short-let projects, okay, that I know that you can buy that comes with a flexible payment plan. I'll also be sharing that, talking about the locations and then the other thing. That will be by the special grace of God on Thursday. I'll be talking about short-lets, most of those things. So I will not be responding to questions relating to short-let until Thursday by God's grace. I will be looking at that. But let me take questions regarding land grabbing. Okay, so I have a first question here. There are a couple of questions here, but I'm just going to dedicate the next 15 minutes to respond to some of these questions, and I'll see how far I can go. So the first question basically talked about, I bought 20 acres at Atonta, and the agent that sold keeps telling me to hold on, the allocation will be done. It's been 6 months after purchase. I just hope it's not another case of land grabbing. Okay, the first thing that I think you should do if as an investor here basically is that I'm conversant with some areas, not all areas. I'm conversant with some areas in Aton. Okay, I have some couple of investors who have farmlands there, and I've never experienced or heard of any related cases of land grabbing. When we talk about land grabbing, it's not, most of the places that have land issues or money issues are mostly areas of interest, like areas where we have cinemas, we have malls, we have, big projects like refinery and the likes. Now, because of the fact that the family or the land grabbers are fully aware, okay, of the total value of properties in that location, they may tend to give problem. I am not at the same time ruling out the possibilities of being a land grabbing related issues, but I would not want us to make an hasty conclusion that land grabbers have taken, because sometimes it's not always about land grabbers. For majority of the time, it's majorly situations and scenarios related to that. So I would not want to um, affirm that because I know Atlanta very well. I've been there, at least some places. They don't have land grabbing related issues. So I think basically what you should find out is if you have not bought from a scam, okay? Because Aton is a very accessible place. It's a very good place, and of course we have hectares and billions of acres of land there. So I see no reason why you have not been allocated. And for the fact that the agent that sold to you is not available is something that calls for concern. But basically, if you have the document of purchase at your disposal, I will advise you get the law enforcement people informed and let them know let them find out what exactly is going on. Okay, I hope that has answered your question. So the second question basically is that, is it possible for me to work directly with Onile because I'm based abroad and my brother has been complaining that they have been disturbing him from time to time? Okay, from my experience, now, it is not always, it is not all the time that cases with Onile end up in dialogue. And it is not also all the time that cases with Onile should end in violence. But the first thing you need to do in this kind of scenario, basically when they've been reported cases of them coming to disturb, the first thing you want to do basically is to find out if those people are truly from that particular town. Now, the reason why I'm saying this basically was that we have seen several scenarios of people posing, okay, or pretending to be indigents of that town, and after due diligence, we found out that they were never born or raised in that town. They are just seizing opportunity to cause mayhem and collect money forcefully from people. So if you can get the traditional ruler to identify if they are from that town. Now, if they are from that town, let me use the word if. What you should do basically is that don't negotiate with them directly, because you see, one thing I've come to realize about land grabbers is that if you have given them money once, it becomes a right as far as they are concerned. That's just the fact. That's just the fact. Many believe that you have bought their inheritance, you have bought what should profit them in the future, and you should be responsible to whatsoever happens to them about their welfare. So, in that kind of scenario, you definitely don't want to negotiate directly with those Onile. So you want to work with a traditional ruler to identify who they are, identify who their parent is, and have a conversation with them. Because you see, the moment you give Onile money, you are giving them this impression that they can always collect money anytime they feel like. So some will just needlessly walk to your site or to your farm, whatsoever you may be doing on that land, and cause mayhem, knowing fully well that you will succumb to their demands and they will turn it to something like a lifestyle. I've seen during this last Salah break, I had to turn off my phone because you see, if you bought property, okay, from families and they kind of know you personally, like they will say, what, this is our child. Once it is Salah, if you buy, of course, most of those are from Muslim communities. You will buy Ramu, and they will bill you. So what I did basically was I deliberately turned off my phone. So if you have been trying to call me during the Salah, it's not intentional. I just had to turn off my phone because I need to avoid some billings. Yeah. So what you must do is identify them, speak with their parent or any other person or the traditional ruler and tell them, in as much as the fact that you have paid them completely, report them to this police station. They call that police station zone 2. If any land grabber gets a notification that you have reported them to zone 2, for many of them that have been there, trust me, it's an experience they certainly don't want to have again. So there's some scenario where dialogue will never work, especially if it's a scenario whereby they are constantly coming to the site, okay, to demand for money. So when they know that you have reported them to zone 2, if they value themselves, they will never come there again. So that is if there is dialogue. And another thing you also want to confirm is that if they are truly disturbing, as whosoever is in charge has claimed. The reason why I'm saying that basically is that I just met this particular diasporan investor who has been sending money constantly to his caretaker. I think this person was managing his farm, and he will just do videos of a couple of people that these guys are on Onile, they are doing this, that his brother should send money, and this particular investor has been sending money. So I found out it was more or less like how do I do this now? It's more or less like a planned work, just to be people can be very terrible when it comes to money. So anytime the shows, in fact, these guys will deliberately destroy some things, okay? So this particular person just got in contact with me and he said, he's tired, that he wants to sell off, the property. And I said, sir, this is the price you're selling this particular property. It is not always advisable to sell. Why don't you just investigate and find out? So I had to call some police officer in that area, and they arrested all of them. By the time they were arrested, it was a scenario, I worked a scenario, and we found out that it was a conspiracy between the same person that claimed to be his brother, making videos just to be siphoning money. So that was why I said that you should follow that process, because if you don't, you just be people can be very, very terrible when it comes to money. So you want to do that as well, just to confirm that you are not being played and money is not just being collected from you fraudulently. Okay, so one final question. You said doing my property title will secure my investment, but I have a C of O and Onile is still disturbing. What do I do? Okay, now let me explain. When you do a title or you register your title with government, what that does for you basically is that it makes it extremely difficult, okay, for somebody to resell your land. Because you see, sometimes if you have bought a property and you want to obtain a building plan approval, the first thing they will do in the Ministry of Lands and, of course, the Lagos State Building Management Control will be to authenticate, okay, to authenticate the title that was presented for that building plan approval. And the way the system is structured in such a way that one person cannot hold two titles. Two people cannot claim right to one title. That is why it is impossible for two people to be fighting over one C of O. It's only one C of O. So the only thing they can just do is if you don't want to transfer, if you have bought the property of C of O and you want to transfer it, all you can do is a governor's consent. So when I say register your title, it makes it extremely difficult for people to go to Alausa and buy the land you have a title. And that's why it is very important that when you do your title, you have safeguarded that property from being resold. Now, you can have a C of O on the property, you can have a governor's consent. That does not mean Onile will not disturb. What your title will do for you is that it will prevent your property to be resold without your consent. That's what happens. Now, dealing with Onile is another clear case scenario entirely. So you need to understand this very well so that when you are looking at this, you can have an accurate understanding. And sometimes, basically, somebody have reached out to me and said this. What I told them basically is that, see, if you cannot work with an experienced consultancy like us, because the reason why I'm saying this is that I've seen a lot. So at a glance, I can tell danger. At a glance, like merely looking at this, I can tell you this is what will go wrong in these places. And trust me, trust me, my predictions have never been wrong. Yeah, I'm not trying to say this, but you see, there's some level of experience you will have at the choosing profession you have that you just can't be wrong. So some people that have had direct dealings with us, basically they can attest to this fact. So if it's about safety, I don't compromise. I don't care how much it takes for me to confirm your investments will be secure. If I say go ahead and purchase, you don't need to think twice. I have done what I need to do. If I say you can go ahead with your purchase, trust me, there's nothing to worry about. So in some cases, okay, so if you have your title, does not mean Onile will not disturb, basically. So it now depends on what they are disturbing you for, because the basis basically differs. So we need to accurately understand situations before we make any form of recommendation, so that we will not just be I said 15 minutes, I'm using 16 minutes. So I don't know if I've been able to answer your question, but the long and short is, work with an experienced consultancy company like us, and we will now lead you to developers that will protect your purchase. There are a lot of people that they have investment with us since 2018. In fact, we've even become family. There are some that they will say, it's your birthday, take these cash gifts. I just want to appreciate you for the good job you are doing. I just want to appreciate you for helping me manage my. There are people that have bought properties that I'm managing for them. But I'm not saying I will manage your own. I'm just using this, as a clear case scenario. Okay. I'm not saying if you buy, I will manage you, please do. Because it is when you are making videos like this, it is very, very important, okay, that you make you also you expatiate, so they won't say, Adejare, you said you were going to I have said I am managing for some, okay. And of course, when you watch my activities, I go to site almost every day. I give development updates, and when it is case to dig it with developers, see, there are some fights I have fought on behalf of my real estate investors that they don't know. There are some things that we do on the underground that you don't know. And the reason why we do that basically is that we have sworn that nobody that buys real estate through us come back and say, I regret, I shouldn't have bought. Never. It has never happened, and it will never happen in Jesus' name. So basically, that's one of the things that we do, basically. So I'm going to be talking about short-let by God's grace on Thursday, and I'm going to be giving some real estate locations that we have checked, we have verified, that are safe for purchase. I'll also be doing that, maybe some couple of videos. And like I said, if it is in Lagos, see, it is better for you to see a location that you like. If you cannot afford it, wait until you can afford it, than to buy a cheaper option that will give you nightmare. Thank you very much. This is where I'm going to draw to. I said I was going to stop in 15 minutes. I've spent 18. I've spent 4 extra minutes. I apologize for that. I want to quickly say a very big thank you to everybody that was on this live stream. I really, really appreciate this. By the special grace of God, I can't wait to help you buy your next safe and profitable real estate investment. So on Thursday, let's talk about short-let management. What you need to know about short-let locations, things you need to work out for, because there are some couple of companies now who are also adopting a similar short-let model. How to identify a company that will struggle to deliver. Of course, I'll be talking about that as well. So on Thursday, by the special grace of God, we're going to be here having this wonderful live session, educating and of course giving valuable information like we've always been doing. And of course, if you have any form of real estate investment, it doesn't matter whether you are at the point of purchase and you need extra service or validation or confirmation. Of course, you can always reach out to us. And trust me, for those who have reached out to us and for those who have listened, I can tell you they are glad they listen to us. That one is not pride. I can just tell you that our results speak for us. Thank you very much. See you on Thursday by the special grace of God. Bye for now.